Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Kathy and I looking at post-election astrology. And we've got three charts to look at this week. But before we do, I'm Louise Edington, the Cosmic Owl of Cosmic Owl Astrology. I have a Substack on which I write daily for free, but I also have like a Substack Spiral Weave membership that gets a monthly call and a few other things. I also have a private community on my website, louiseeddington.com, called The Nest, if you want to go even deeper and learn more astrology. And I think that's all for now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kathy Beal. My website is empowermentunlimited.net. My YouTube channel is Professional Aquarian, and I also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Kathy Beal. I have forecasts for every imaginable thing. On my Patreon, I have dailies. Um, and I'm available for readings. There we go. So we're going to be succinct with all of this.
Yes, yes. Oh, and I'm publishing a new book, so you'll hear more about that. And I always forget to mention my YouTube channel because I kind of assume you're watching it on my YouTube channel, Cosmic Owl Astrology. Anyway, Kathy's got her usual breakdown of the news, and she's got a really long list, so I hope she's going to rattle through it. So.
Okay, I actually organized it this time. In our last video, we went through the really intense aspects that are playing out this week of revelation and criminality and corruption, and may I say revelation again, and the releases and the scandals of the Scorpio full moon. And as we're recording this, we haven't gotten completely to the playing out of that. Talk about the aspects this week that will do that. But here we go for just a few. Okay, there's a big clump of things involving that plane that Qatar is giving or wants to give. A $400 million used plane that would cost the U.S. taxpayers millions and millions to retrofit as Air Force One. Um, there is a deal for a Trump-branded golf course in Qatar. Is it a quid pro quo? Who knows? Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, approved this deal, despite the fact that it blatantly violates the emoluments clause, and despite the fact that she, before she took the job of AG, previously was a very highly paid agent for the Qatar government. There are all kinds of considerations being voiced about the espionage potential of ending up with a plane owned by a foreign government, and major right-wing voices are decrying this. Laura Loomer blasted it, Ben Shapiro blasted it, Ted Cruz is blasting it, and Chuck Schumer has put a hold on all Department of Justice nominees until Bondi appears in the Senate to answer questions. That's one chunk, but there's more. House Republicans passed massive cuts to Medicaid in the dead of night, at the beginning of the week, and Josh Hawley, of all people, is speaking out against the cuts because of how badly they will hurt his constituents. All right, next category. Federal judge has authorized the administration to access and use immigrants' IRS data. That fits all of what we've talked about. Do not is I am mentioning this because it fits the astrology. Do not scream, do not freak. I'm not offering this for the truth of it, but because it fits the astrology. Jake Tapper has revived conversations about Biden's health and decline during his time in the White House. So there's like more talk about Biden's aging. Tapper has written a book. He says that Biden didn't recognize George Clooney at a fundraiser. I would put to you that this is the fact that this topic has come back up indicates that there's another topic that is being avoided. Okay, Al Green, a representative from Texas, announced his intent to file articles of impeachment on the House floor on the full moon. Another rep, I don't know how to pronounce his name, I apologize, Thanadar, tried to force a vote on the House floor for articles that he had previously filed, and he withdrew his request after a lot of pressure. And he's saying he's now going to expand the articles to include others. So we've got two at least two moves towards articles of impeachment. Again, I offer it for the astrology. I said that this could be a time when this administration could be taken out, and that fits it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, okay? More. There's news. This is a fun one. Here's news of transmutation. This is the potential of Pluto in Aquarius, transmutation involving technology. Scientists at the Hadron Collider accidentally, momentarily turned lead into gold.
Oh,
That's
I
a
didn't
fun one.
see that one.
They
Ooh.
pulled three protons out of a lead atom and momentarily had gold. They weren't trying to do it. It just happened. And
Is
there's more. Okay, so I mentioned cryptocurrency could be something in the
mm,
news with all of this. A bipartisan bill called the Genius Bill was blocked. It was to regulate cryptocurrency. The blocking was over the potential that there were things that the Dems want to have changed, that there's a potential for Trump to take advantage of this. And also there's
a
like a lack.
potential?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's
Sorry.
my word.
Yes, go on.
Okay, that's part of it. Like,
Yes.
like what would he do with it? And also, there's a lack of consumer protection in it. So the negotiations are ongoing on this genius bill involving
Mm,
cryptocurrency. More. I've got four more things. So here we go. There are many more court rulings against the various actions that this administration is doing. And in fact, there's a hearing going on at the Supreme Court as we are recording. In one of the deportation cases, the court figured out that the Department of Defense has been detaining migrants at Guantanamo and using military planes to transport them. They've deported people on military planes to El Salvador, and until these were stopped, there were plans to take people on military planes to Libya and Saudi Arabia. So in this
mm,
case, the court is looking to add the Department of Defense as a defendant.
mm.
Three more things. Let's see. A Chinese company, a small Chinese company that is a part owner in TikTok, made a major purchase of Trump cryptocurrency. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
There was a revelation that Pam Bondi dumped millions of dollars in Truth Media or Trump Media, whatever it is, the day before he announced the tariffs. The technical term for that is insider trading. Two more
Mhm.
items. RFK Jr. took his grandkids
Oh,
swimming in Rock Creek, where the National Park Service bans people from going into the water because of the high bacterial count because sewage flows into it. That's completely the imagery of this week. One more thing, and Afrikaner refugees have
oh.
been admitted. People from South Africa who are white are being admitted as refugees, and the reason I bring it up is we flew them here.
Hmm.
U.S.
And they are
plane,
Afrikaner. Yeah, they're
yeah, they're
Afrikaner.
Afrikaner, but we flew them here. We paid
Yeah,
for it.
and
So
welcomed them and gave them flags. And
all
I've got
those,
a couple of things to
please,
add. There's more and more Republicans raising objections to the proposed budget, thankfully. So hopefully some of them will vote against it. Um, there was something else. I'll probably come back to it later, but that one I thought was quite big because, there's starting to be more and more kind of rumblings against them. Oh, the other one was about RFK Jr. saying that his opinions on vaccines didn't matter in the hearing. I just was like, but apparently there's grumblings against him now as well amongst other GOP people.
well, he's appointed a surgeon general that doesn't have an active medical, who's never had a medical license. There's a thought. Okay, you're kind of supposed to have that. And I thought of two more things while we're here. One of them is so much has happened. Uh,
Mhm,
U.S. representatives from the state of New Jersey going to a detention center in Newark, and the mayor of Newark being
mhm,
with them. And then after they came out on public property, ICE arresting the mayor of Newark. And Tom Homan had said there was, the trouble was coming for local officials in blue states. So that's happening. I think he's having a hearing today again, as we
mhm,
talk. That's also happening. And there's noise that the FBI or somebody is going to arrest the reps who were there. You have
Mm,
U.S. representatives have the right to go into uh, any kind of detention facility and inspect it.
hmm
So that, and then the final thing I will throw in is that the mayor, the state judge who was arrested for not letting ICE take some people who were in her courtroom
mm.
when they did not have a judicial warrant for their arrest, has in fact been indicted. And her attorneys have argued the Trump immunity defense. So we'll see what happens with that.
Oh. And as we record this, the Supreme Court is hearing oral arguments about birthright citizenship. So, we probably won't hear about that today anyway, but just
Well,
that's something to watch for too.
let
Hmm
me clarify what that one's actually about,
mm
and that is whether one judge can issue a stay that
mm.
covers the whole country.
Yeah.
And Elena Kagan's comments to the Trump's attorneys already indicated where one faction of this court is going to go, as in this, what you're
Yes.
doing is blatantly illegal. Uh, I
hmm
love that.
But
Okay.
what's her name? The Republican one. Oh, Coney Barrett. She's kind of being that slightly squeaky wheel so far, from what I've read, from what's coming through. So we'll see how it all ends up. But anyway,
So what
who
is
we?
happening? Can I move on to the astrology, or is there more
Oh
about?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So where all these things that we've been presenting to you, and the incredibly productive, revelatory aspects, and things involving all these really big power moves and corruption and huge amounts of money continue to play out as we get further and further from the full moon. And here are the aspects over the next 10 days, let's say,
Mm,
that you should watch for. On the 17th, something very illuminating, awakening, um, thunderbolt. The sun
mhm,
meets Uranus, and this is the last time that the sun in Taurus is going to meet Uranus in Taurus
mm.
for the next, what is it, like 35, 40 years? It's a bit, 39 years,
In
40 years, a long
Taurus?
time.
Oh,
Yeah,
84 years.
84
In
years.
our
Okay.
Probably in most people's lifetimes,
Okay,
because
so we're done.
yeah.
Oh, I was
hmm
thinking of the Uranus opposition. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I actually took time off and I have cobwebs in my brain as a consequence. All right, so there could be something going on this week that reveals or makes clear or unlocks things that have been
hmm
developing for the entire time that Uranus has been
hmm
in the sign of Taurus.
Yes,
Watch that.
indeed.
All right,
Yes.
then after that, we have a really strong make it so, walk your talk, taking information and acting on it with Mercury squaring Mars on the 18th. Then on
hmm
the 20th, a bunch of things happen. It is the fourth quarter moon at the last degree, at the anorectic degree of
hmm
Aquarius, with the sun at the very last degree of Taurus. So you have something to say about the anorectic degrees?
Well, they're very tense degrees, all the anoretic degrees, and we've noticed that a couple of the people we're going to look at have some, and the 29th degree is the anoretic degree, by the way. And currently, Saturn is sitting at that last degree of the zodiac and Ceres as we record this. And so there's a lot of, and having the last quarter moon at the anoretic degree. They're all very moments of tense. They're liminal degrees, they're kind of threshold degrees. They're indicating that there's something is ending and then, we're going to move on to the next sign. But they're very tense degrees. So this week does have quite a lot of tension.
And so if
So,
you have something in your chart
mm,
that's at the very last degree of a sign,
mm.
you will be feeling this in some way
Oh,
because we have
yes.
two fixed signs and one mutable sign that are involved
hmm
in terms of the planets. And I mispronounced it. There are not two seeds. It's anoretic. I'm sorry. So there we go.
It's all right.
Again,
And my
again,
and my and my ascendant is 2859, so I'm feeling it. So
my Jupiter is 29, so get out of my way, everybody.
mm,
All
mm,
right, so right while that is happening, two other really big things. The Sun and Saturn sextile, they have an opportunity aspect. And this is the last time the Sun in Taurus is going to be doing this with Saturn in Pisces for about 30 years. So this is
mhm,
another wrapping up, an opportunity to get mastery of something or to have accountability for something. And then the Sun scoots into Gemini, which is where a lot of things are going to be heading soon enough.
mhm,
On the 22nd, it's another make things happen, make it so kind of day. Venus, our social mode, women, all this firepower, the goddess rising energy, people taking to the streets, is in a
mhm,
trine, which is a direct current, an unbroken flow with Mars, planet of push, and the sun, now in Gemini, uh, has an opportunity aspect to Neptune. So there could be something in the way we think about things. There could be communications, messages that have a real strong, I have a mission from God kind of vibe to them, and doing things because we feel really compelled. Then we move into the really busy day. Three big things happening. After the sun makes its first contact, once it gets in the door, is with Neptune, and the second contact, once a planet gets through the door, is with Pluto. So the sun trines Pluto on the 20th. Could be a moment of getting really in touch with your own personal power. It could be everybody getting really focused on something, coming to grips with the leadership and corruption.
mm,
All of these things are possible. And at that same time, Mercury meets Uranus. Mercury, information, our mind, thinking, messaging. It's also things going through the air. It's in the sign of money, conjunct Uranus, something happening, changing really quickly, could involve technology, could involve, again, getting really
money.
clear on money and getting really clear on getting some sudden information about what's really been going on the whole time
Mhm.
that Uranus has been in the sign of Taurus for
Could be
a number
something
of
around the insider trading things.
could very well, and this could tie back to the Sun Uranus conjunction happening on the 17th. And
Mhm.
then the next to last incredibly big shift of the year happens that same day, and that is Saturn moving into the sign of Aries. Now, Saturn was last in this spot in the late 1990s. I think it's like 96 to 2000, maybe.
Mhm.
No. Anyway, that's too long, but very long. So that's like a almost 30-year cycle. And now we have the planet of adulting, of limits, of constraints, of authority, moving into the first degree of the zodiac, the point of absolute raw creation.
Mhm. And I'd like to give a plug for Ceres.
Please.
I've written this book on Ceres. I'm really trying to persuade everybody they can't ignore Ceres. She is a planet. Anyway, she has just been conjunct Saturn at that anaretic last degree of the whole zodiac, 29 Pisces. She's moving into Aries too, and she will conjunct Neptune. Now, Ceres is kind of the mother wound, but we've got our collective mother wound too about how we treat each other and the earth, and I think I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of people feeling quite a lot of confusion and sense of loss and what have we done kind of thing, and a bit of hopelessness perhaps. But also I kind of feel like with it moving into Aries and meeting Neptune at one Aries, I kind of feel like more and more of the um, people who have some power at least will be kind of feeling that loss and then going, no, we can't do this. So,
Is there a Mother's March planned? That would fit with this, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't do marching anymore.
I
I
don't
think there's
either,
more.
but every time,
Oh, it
every
would, yeah.
every time something has crossed since the beginning, since the end of March, every time something has crossed
Mm,
into Aries or crossed into Aries and then met with Neptune, there's been something significant that has a like a spiritually galvanizing call to
mm,
action coming out of people in the news.
mm,
So we'll see who this ends up what this ends up summoning for us.
exactly. And of course, that's partly because people are going, we just cannot do this anymore. So more people will rise up, Aries, and take a stand. So, yeah. hmm So there we go. There's the aspects for the week. Oh, and the series conjunct Neptune is on May the 21st. I should have said that. There you go. So whose chart are we going to look at first? Shall we look at Al first, or
Yes.
okay? Let
So
me
a
get
representative
him.
from Texas named Al Green, actually, I thought he had filed his articles of impeachment quite a while ago. I've seen them. There were 7 counts, and it's pretty
Mm,
much what you would expect to see. He was on the House floor talking
mm,
about them on the day of the Scorpio full moon.
mm. He was. Yeah, I definitely remember him talking about them. But
So,
anyway, so it doesn't matter about the exact date anyway. It's a bit of a process, right? Filing the articles of impeachment and then presenting them and all kinds of things like that. So here's his chart. We do not have a time of birth. He was born September the 1st, 47. If anybody, doesn't know who he is, if you remember, he was the one speaking out on the floor, and he actually got escorted out
mhm.
of when was that? What was happening on the floor when he was doing
Hard to even remember, but he
it?
was
Was
out.
this kind of Trump speech to the Congress, right? It was that's when he was
Oh,
escorted out.
during the State of the Union.
Yeah, yeah. So he's the one who was really making some noise at that one. So and he's obviously born 47, 12 years older than me. He's probably thinking, I have no F's left to give. And I think the fact that his North Node is at 26 Taurus with Uranus traveling
Right.
over it is probably indicating that.
Well, there are actually 3 things happening right in the middle of May to him. One of them is Uranus being on. Could you put the full moon, the Scorpio full moon chart up? Because I kept making it.
Absolutely, yeah. I didn't want to
He's
put a
got,
chart up until yeah.
so he has 3 big things going on. You see, Uranus at the top of the chart has been on his uh, uh, nodes,
hmm
and
and Algol is there, of course, as well,
so
which
in
is
the in,
kind of
in the
very
solar ninth.
rebellious.
Well, in the solar ninth house of uh, policy and litigation, and so he's making these
hmm
charges of high crimes and misdemeanors of the head. Perfect.
hmm And Jupiter, the judge, if you like, is the full moon was on his Jupiter as well in the third house, opposing that. So writing his articles of impeachment as well. So,
And
literally.
transiting Jupiter in the 10th house is heading for his Uranus. It's going to be there in the second half of May again. So we have transiting Uranus on his nodes,
Mm-hmm,
transiting Jupiter on his Uranus. And
mm-hmm.
notice that Mars in the 12th is heading for his Pluto. Now, does this mean he's doing things back room to try to get stuff going, or does this mean somebody is out for him? Could be.
Could be. But his Pluto is very close to the apparent leader in charge. So they have, because they were born, in the same generation. His is 10, right? The apparent leader,
Right.
10 Leo. So, they're very close. So this Mars is kind of impacting both of them. And clearly he's going on the attack, Mars, against. So it could be both. It could be an attack on him and vice versa. So,
There are two other things
mhm,
I'd like to point out. If you look in his solar seventh house, we don't know the exact degree of his moon, but it is clearly in Pisces on either
mhm,
side of that 20 degrees, which means the North Node, current North Node, is pretty close to his moon, and Saturn's
mhm,
been moving over it, and Ceres has been moving over it. So
mhm.
he's doing this because
Oh,
he feels it very, very strongly.
and I will mention, I'm not going to put it back in the chart, but I use the centaurs, and Centaur Nessus is sitting pretty much on that position right now. So his moon is somewhere around there for sure. And Nessus, the phrase that Melanie Reinhardt uses for that is the buck stops here. It's about abuses of power and things like that and saying no more. So that figures too, right? So,
Absolutely.
hmm,
And notice that he does have quite a bit in well, with that moon, all right, with the March, middle of March lunar eclipse at 23 Virgo probably
hmm,
pulled in his moon. So that might have
hmm,
been a breaking point for him. And he has three placements in Virgo that are going to continue to be activated as the Virgo Pisces eclipses roll out. There's one at
hmm.
15 Pisces in the fall, may or may not pull in his Virgo, maybe, I mean, his Mercury, but the later ones are going to hit his Venus and Sun.
Yeah, I can quickly look at that one, the 15,
And I'll
because I
I'll point out
think, yeah, it's a bit far up, but then Mercury's hitting
Mercury.
on that one. And it's a Mercury, the sun's in a Mercury sign for that eclipse. So there you go. So,
Well,
mhm.
is he found right? Is he vindicated? Does
Mm,
something
could
happen?
be.
Wait and see. Notice also at that point, Venus is going to be on his Saturn.
Oh, in the eclipse, I'll go back
Yeah,
to it.
I
Let me have
I
a.
I think he's going to be vindicated.
Hmm. Oh, yes, that's nice. Hmm. Yes. Just looking what else. And the North Node by then will be, his, because we don't know the time, it's a few degrees either side of that. But yeah, he's, I also like my asteroids down here. I'm glad I left them in. But that's contracts, sacred contracts with each other. Vesta is the state. you know, it's the heart of the state basically on his south node, and I think you know I think he could be vindicated here or validated or whatever. Yeah.
And I'll just point
Mhm.
out that with Venus and the Sun and Mercury together so tightly in Virgo, his doing this is not to tip the tables or shake the tables. He's doing this because he's saying, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. I'll tell you all the details. This is
Oh,
wrong. Logically, this is wrong.
this is doing the right thing
Yeah.
energy. Yeah. Hmm. And let me just have a quick look. Did I notice any solar arcs or anything?
Mhm.
Uh, we've talked about Jupiter on his Uranus, so that's coming up. That was one of the big transits. And I think that was it for him. Though transiting Jupiter is going to come up and make a lovely aspect to his natal Chiron on July the 4th. Actually, I always think that's because it is, you know, obviously. And at the same time, the North Node by transit will be trine his natal Jupiter. So they're nice supportive aspects for justice, in my opinion, kind of healing justice. So here's his Chiron. So because Jupiter will have moved into Cancer by then. And we probably won't look at him again for a bit, so I think it's worth going that far ahead. Let me move it to that so you can get a visual of it. So Venus trine, sorry, Jupiter, what did I say?
Chiron?
Yes,
Chiron?
trine Chiron. I was just making sure I got the right aspect too.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not it. Oh, radix, that's why. I need to look at his radix. There we go, July the 4th, 5 Cancer, on the sun on the US's birthday. And
And the
so
sun,
Jupiter will be at 5 Cancer here, making that lovely supportive aspect. Oh, and look what's there then, Vesta, the state.
and the sun will be on his Mars, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And Jupiter is
Mm-hmm.
heading for his Vesta
Yeah.
later in the summer. I think that happens in August. So
Yeah.
only good.
Mm. And Venus and Uranus are about to meet at the top of his, well, in his ninth house near his nodes, at that anaretic degree again. So, if you don't understand the astrology, just know this is good. Mars, right there. Oh, goodness, yes. Lots of good things going on in the weeks to come, I think. And, it is the US's holiday, so it's a significant day. So, especially for somebody that's doing the right thing, shall we say. Yeah.
Okay, who do you want to look at next?
Well, I'm just going to stop the share for a second and just kind of give the outline of a post I saw on, and I was aware of what was happening in the news, but this was not news. It was somebody kind of giving their opinion about Macron and Keir Starmer, so the leaders of France and the UK, the Polish leader as well, and Merz of Germany, who they gathered in a room with Zelensky and made an unscheduled phone call to Trump. So they disclosed a plan to give Putin an ultimatum, agree to a 30-day ceasefire and begin negotiations for peace, or they would supply Ukraine with overwhelming military support and coordinate additional sanctions that could suffocate the Russian economy finally, because there is suffering their economy. So anyway, they convinced Trump that if it worked, he would get the plaudits, but they know Putin doesn't want peace. He does not want peace. Anyway, Trump failed to grasp this. He still sees everything as a real estate deal, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to look at Macron and Starmer, but there's one other thing as well. But they appealed basically to our leaders' vanity and ignorance, which is always said to work with narcissists, right? So, and they got his verbal approval for the ultimatum on this unscheduled call because he was taken by surprise. And Starmer as well, who I quite like, has been kind of playing Trump in other ways as well, kind of pretending to kind of, be on his side a little bit as well. So we're going to look at Macron and Starmer because we don't have time to look at them all. So just let me get Macron up first, yeah?
Sure.
Because we have a time for Macron, which is really nice. So the chart, the houses and things are even more accurate. And we've got the ascendant, of course, and he has a almost 29-degree ascendant. So if people remember what we said about those 29 degrees, he's also got a Sun-Mercury conjunction. Let me just show you without the transits at that 29-degree mark. So even if the aspects are not like conjunctions or squares or oppositions, anybody with these degrees is being impacted by these upcoming aspects. So anything else you want to point out?
He's a table
Before we
tipper.
look at...
Look at his South Node and Eris down there.
Oh, he's a table tipper.
And it's trying his Mars, so you bet.
It's
Here,
making
so,
a
oh,
fire grand trine to his series as well. Look at his Sagittarius stellium. No wonder I like him, basically, because I have a Sagittarius stellium. And he's got Pluto on his north node as well, which is also quite table tippy, I think, really, or pretty. I'm going to outpower you or out manipulate you. In other words, kind of it feels like.
he has an out of sign grand trine in Earth. The
Hmm.
the Sun Mercury almost in Capricorn, trining his Chiron in Taurus,
Hmm.
trining Saturn in Virgo, and the grounding point of it, of the kite, the string that makes it a kite, is Jupiter in Cancer. Um,
Hmm.
and
And I will just draw those lines to show
yeah,
people. So they pretend this is like zero Capricorn for those watching. And so this is the other trine, but this one makes a kite to his Jupiter. So somebody with two grand trines and one making a kite is pretty powerful, in my opinion. Mhm.
and that his grand so Jupiter at one Cancer has been squared, has been activated, has been pumped up every
Mhm.
time a body has crossed zero Aries. So end of
Mhm.
March, Neptune did that. In April, Mercury and Venus and then Mercury did that. And then in on the 24th of May, Saturn will do that. Coming
And
out of
that Ceres Neptune conjunction is exactly squaring it. So at one, yeah,
and
in
then
Aries.
in June,
Mhm. Let me put the transits on. Yeah.
and then in June, Jupiter is going to come back over its spot. So his
Hmm.
ability, he's one for homeland, for country, for tradition. Um,
Mm, he is. So there's the square from Neptune to Jupiter. But as Kathy said, everything has been squaring, and Ceres will, and Saturn will. And he's coming up to his Jupiter return because Jupiter's moving into Cancer. So,
and he's
which is
just
usually.
had his Mars return. You see,
He,
Mars at 12 Leo has just moved across his Mars. So that's a 2 year cycle, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, more than 2 year. What am I saying? Hmm.
Well, it's about no, it's about 2 year. Hmm. Just over. Yeah. Um, yeah. So and Venus right now as leaving the degree she's stationed retrograde out. So we've been through this incredible portal of change with Venus and Mercury retrograde, both in Aries to Pisces at the same time as the last two eclipses. We're really now with Venus moving beyond 10 degrees, which is coming up to his south node, moving out of that period, which I called the chrysalis of rebirth. But this is really going to move forward, and things are really starting to shift. So I also noticed though that he has his Eris and Chiron, well, sorry, by transit, Chiron and Eris and Venus are all going to be at 25 Aries on June the 1st, and that's aspecting his Juno, which is contracts. So another unbroken flow, fiery aspect. And you think of elements of fire and earth and fire, that's deeply kind of powerful energy. If you think about a wildfire, how it goes across the earth, and this kind of what he's trying to do.
And there's one more thing I want to point out with that. If you look in the ninth house, foreign dealings,
Hmm.
legislation, policy, transiting Juno at 23 Scorpio is on top of his natal Pallas Athena at 23 Scorpio, and he's making
Hmm.
these arrangements with other countries,
Yes, and
making
he's
these
kind of
alliances.
doing it like Scorpio, like like a fox, stealthy fox kind of thing. So I think he's incredibly smart, to be honest. I know not everybody would agree, but there we go. So and then there's the anaretic degree of Taurus as well. We'll be making the aspect of adjustment to his Sun Mercury conjunction, which is, it's not, it is, I'm going to call that a Kazemi, but anyway. So what was it? The 29th degree, the Sun and Uranus, right?
Yeah, we're talking like on the, yeah, yeah.
Let me, I'll just get that up. Why not? We've got time. Oh, God. Why is Kathy's been having terrible tech dinks and I'm having a wobbly mouse. So, well, no, they meet at 27 degrees. There's something else. Oh, I know, the last quarter moon is going to be at 29 degrees as well.
Oh, look,
So,
Saturn at
mhm,
29 is squaring his sun Mercury.
it is. So, yes, so we've got, yeah, and Ceres right now as well, both square his Sun Mercury. And so the last quarter moon as well on May the 20th, which was one of the aspects we talked about. Sext, this is making an opportunity aspect to his Sun Mercury. And there's the Sun making an aspect of adjustment right at the bottom of his chart. This is like, this is bringing out his not on my watch energy, I would say, with something being right at the bottom of his chart. And the fourth house cusp is, because the fourth house cusp really is kind of it's many things, but it's our basis of security in
Hmm.
many ways. And really with what's happening with these autocrats globally is Europeans' a basis of security is under threat. So
Hmm.
he's going, no. Yeah. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. Anything else to say on him?
No, no.
No. Of course, all this, stuff happening at zero Aries as well that we've gone over and over and over again is also making this aspect of adjustment to his natal Saturn too. So
New
he is,
alliances.
yes, yeah, new beginnings, new leadership also in a way. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so Starmer 2.
Yeah.
Let's just look at his natal chart quickly first.
Another another early September Virgo.
There's a lot of Virgos kind of like in the news right now. But anyway, I'm noticing we don't have a time of birth, but his moon is right in the middle of Libra at noon. So he's got a Libra moon. So we do know that. We don't know the exact degree. Mercury, Moon, Venus, and Mercury all in Libra. And so he's got two mini stelliums. So he's got Uranus, Sun, and Pluto in Virgo, and then three planets in Libra. He's another one who wants to do the right thing, wants to fight for justice and balance. I think in many ways, and so on. And he's been a strong voice in Europe since his election. So
Could you put the full moon chart around the
I
Scorpio full moon chart
can,
around him? Because
yeah.
there's some important things happening.
Mm. So that was on May the 12th. So there we go. There's the moon, and there's the sun. So full moon and opposition. Okay.
So you see that Jupiter up there in the 10th, enlarging his stature, is moving into a trine with his natal Venus at 25. Jupiter's also squaring the nodes.
And it
So,
will be on Justice Palace Athena at the
right
same time.
at the same time.
Yes, yeah.
And Mars in the 11th. Interesting that there's this, I mean, in the 12th. Interesting that there's this 12th house stuff going on.
Mm,
Is squaring Neptune. Where's his Neptune? I wrote this down. Oh, yeah. At 11, Leo is squaring his Neptune at 11,
mm,
Scorpio in the third. So that's also, they will play a little manipulation game. We'll play a shell game. We'll do
mm.
some prestidigitation.
A lot
And
of stealth, a lot of stealth, I always think of
mhm,
it. Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
stuff.
And a couple of these charts, was it was Al Green, had the stuff at Leo. They're kind of, I'm not saying they're working together, but these aspects are all working together. And again, Vesta, the state, Juno, sacred contracts, Mars coming up to that at the same time is also going to be about kind of keeping, preserving the state of things in almost, or preserving our contracts as well. So, like NATO and this, that, and the other too. So,
I'll point
mhm,
out, just watch what happens with him in the next year. This isn't part of what we've been talking about, but
mm,
Pluto's heading for his Saturn. Who knows what that could mean?
mm.
Maybe he doesn't stay in office, or something happens
Well,
in his family. That's possible too, that there could be a family thing that occurs then.
I mean, Pluto's pretty slow moving. So
Right.
So let's have a look. Pluto conjunct, because prime ministers in the UK don't tend to last as long as leaders in other countries.
That's
But
what I was thinking, that there could be a
but it's
challenge.
not till 2027. So
Okay, so he has a few years
yeah,
before it's an issue. Okay.
yeah.
Just wanted to put that on people's radar. It's, he's going to last much longer than a head of lettuce.
hmm Either that, or you know, Saturn can sometimes kind of seal the deal, and maybe
True.
he'd get re-elected. It could be that. So, which would be kind of quite unusual for recent history in the UK. So, uh, yeah, we could see
Okay,
what's
so
coming up for that.
more
Yeah,
surprises
he's
coming the next week. I'm sorry.
yeah. I just wanted to say, he's another one as well that so many people are also in the news because Eris moves so slowly, and she is kind of the table shaker and the one who's fighting for the outsiders, so to speak, in many ways, or causing some disruption. There's many of them seem to have 10 Eris, because they were born around that time. And so to go back to Venus, just leaving all this retrograde journey at this, as we record this, is crossing over that 10-degree mark and starting to take action for things we've learned
Mhm.
over, through March and April. And she's in his solar chart, because again we don't have a time, is heading up towards the top of his chart too. So she's going to be busy, busy, busy. Did he have something at 25? Oh yeah, let me take you to June the 1st.
Here we go. Travel week.
opposing his Venus, 25 Chiron, 25 Venus, 25 Eris, all opposing his Venus. He's, that's a powerful opposition for him, for taking a stand for justice, I think.
And the moon is at 25 Leo, so
Mm,
he may have support for what he does.
mm,
The moon representing the populace.
yeah, yeah. I think from what I gather from my friends who are not all that political always, but back in the UK, and I'll actually be heading to the UK in June, so I'll be able to get more of a feel. most people at least are supporting what he's doing with the other European leaders, I would say. So, mhm. If not everything else, because people are never happy, are they? Right? Yeah, I always kind of think, well, go do it yourself then. Sorry, but yeah, there's an awful lot going on. All this stuff that's coming to 0 and 1 Aries is making an aspect of adjustment with his natal Uranus. So that's kind of shaking things up as well and saying, do things differently than they've been done before. Um, I think he's really kind of, he's another one that's determined to do the right thing. That Virgo energy. Mm.
And
Sun conjunct
with
Pluto.
Pluto fused to his sun, I wouldn't
Mm.
mess with this man. He may look
No.
unassuming, he may be polite and pleasant, but Sun Pluto fused like that, nope. Mm-mm.
He's powerful. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, he seems very mild mannered, but no. Hidden strengths, shall we say. Oh, anything else you want to say about him or anybody else that's
Nope.
I'd just love to say that, Mars, the recent Mars retrograde, or fairly recent, did go retrograde just before his Ceres North Node conjunction. So, that was activated then. Him saying, the leader, Leo, if you like, to look after your needs, kind of thing. And it's opposing his Saturn South Node. So the people in general, you know. Um, mm, good one. Cool.
Yay.
So I'm still convinced things are turning around, even though it doesn't appear so always.
Oh, yeah, what's going on is unsupportable, and we're seeing not just pushback, but courts stopping things. And now we're seeing Republicans saying, oops, you're hurting our
Mm,
voters. Oh, wait a minute,
mhm.
this is highly corrupt. Oh, this is dangerous. So,
And we don't like this budget, it's not, yeah. I'm really hoping some of them, either vote against the budget or whatever the process is, really kind of take a stand against it. So fingers
I think some
crossed.
incredibly fascinating things are going to happen in the next week.
I
That's my
know,
prediction.
I know, and I'm away for the next 3 days, in on a golf course in Pasadena watching bands on Saturday. But I will have my phone to keep an eye on the news.
And we're releasing this a day early. We will not have a Friday video this week. This week it's on
No.
Thursday.
Yeah, we talked about recording and then releasing on Fridays, but then we were like, but the news is all changing so fast, so
Right. We let it out while
we're
it's
just
fresh.
gonna release it. Yes. All right, so we'll see you all next week, and so don't forget to check out all our links. They're in my description. They're in the description too on Cassie's professional Aquarian YouTube channel. If you get chance, watch the video on both channels. It gives us both you know,
Thank you.
the views. All right. Until next time, see you soon.
Bye.